March 8th, executive session for March 8th, Selectmen's meeting from March 22nd, and executive session for March 22nd. Actually, 2 executive sessions on the 22nd. What's the pleasure of the board?
Also move.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. The first agenda item this evening was a liquor transfer hearing, but the parties are not present, so I'll accept a motion to go out of order.
I'll make a motion to go out of order.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. The board had a Class 2 motor vehicle, and that's at 7:15, so we're even a few minutes too early for that. Hi, Deb. So, Michael, do you want to start administrator's report?
Sure. First item for the board's consideration, on March 31st, the town opened up bids for the painting and the rehabilitation of the Mulberry Drive water storage tank. It was bid out for 2 options. Option A, which is full interior rehabilitation with spot sanding and painting of the exterior. Option B was full interior sanding and rehabilitation and full exterior sandblasting and painting and rehabilitation. The selectmen have received a memo from the engineer and just looking for the board's direction on which option to choose. There were 2 different low bidders depending upon which option we go with.
Has everyone received their packets so they are aware of the proposals that were? I personally will just open up for discussion. My thoughts on this, I would prefer to see us go to option B. For 70-some-odd thousand more, we could have both the interior and exterior done. And it certainly seems to make a lot more sense. If you're up there doing the work, let's do it the right way and get it all done.
I agree.
Bill. Madam Chair, based on that, I would move that the board accept a bid of Bouchard Painting Incorporated in the amount of $284,800 for the Mulberry Street tank, subject to Bouchard Painting Incorporated demonstrating an acceptable level of experience, and that if they are going to use a subcontractor on this, that the subcontractor be specifically outlined in any contract that is signed.
Would you just...
I'll second the motion.
Just for discussion, the bid was actually $255.
I'm sorry,
Total cost.
$255,700.
$255.
Yep.
Total cost is $283,000.
Okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.
Thank you. The next item is a letter from the Clinton Exchange Club asking for use of the Town Hall Auditorium for Wednesday, April 12th to host a candidates' night for the local town elections in conjunction with the item.
What's the pleasure of the board?
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the request.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.
Next item, the Committee to Re-elect Virginia West is requesting permission to set up a bake sale fundraiser in front of 72 High Street for Saturday, April 22nd in the morning from 8 to 1.
What's the pleasure of the board?
I'll make a motion to grant the request.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.
The next item is a request from the Freedom Way Heritage Association. Freedom's Way is requesting that the town of Clinton send a letter supporting designating a heritage corridor that stretches from Lexington and Concord to Mount Wachusett to be dubbed the Freedom's Way National Heritage Area. Several of the local towns have submitted support letters and that they would like to get Clinton on board on this. Freedom's Way Heritage Association, it's an organization. They're set up over in Devens right now, and their goal and their pursuit is to preserve the region's important historical and natural resources through a congressional designation of National Heritage area.
It's a pleasure of the board.
I'll make the motion, we grant the request from Freedom Way Heritage Association to send a letter that the town of Clinton endorses it.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.
And the last item is the Central Mass EMS Corp. They will hold their annual meeting on May 2nd. They're requesting the names of the officials from the town of Clinton that will represent the town. In the past, the last several years, the selectmen have appointed as their representative, Fire Chief Richard Hart, the first responder representative, Deputy Chief John McLaughlin, and EMS representative is EMS coordinator, Captain John McNamara.
What's the pleasure of the board?
I'll make the request, we send the same 3 to the EMS Corporation as long as they're available.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Okay, we're going to go back into the agenda items, and I believe it's close to 7:15, so, Ed, are your people here? Yes. Oh, okay. Okay, so if you want to come forward then. This is a public hearing, and you have supplied all the necessary data that's required, Ed, so I'll open up for you.
Yeah, the last time we were before the board, we had to make some changes because Maid Farm husband, who was actually operating the restaurant, he's a cook, he is not a U.S. citizen, couldn't hold a liquor license, so we had to redo some paperwork, resubmit it. At that time, the restaurant was not open. Since then, we've got a new landlord, we had to redo leases. All that paperwork is complete. They are open as a restaurant. They've been inspected by the Board of Health at least 2 or 3 times since they've opened, and found to be very satisfactory. They'd like to continue that operation as anticipated with the liquor license to open up the bar. And all I can say is if they work with the same diligence they've done in the kitchen, I think you'll have a very reputable restaurant at the location.
Okay, thanks, Ed. What I'll do is just open up for any of the board members that may have any questions. I'm going to start with you, Mark. Do you have anything?
No, I don't, Madam Chair.
Ready? Jerry?
No.
Dean? Okay. Being it's a public hearing, we need to ask if there's anyone out there that would like to speak against this transfer. Close that portion. Anybody like to speak for it? Close that portion. What's the pleasure of the board?
I'll make the motion, we grant the request for the liquor license.
Second.
Yeah, that's true.
Transfer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just, okay.
Okay.
You made the motion?
Yes.
Second. Just a point of discussion. I know the solicitor is not present with us, but Marty did bring up the point, and I believe it is common procedure that the question be asked by the solicitor, but he isn't here this evening, so I'll ask on behalf of the town. Has there ever been any violations against the owners of the property that would be holding the license?
No, to the best of my knowledge, there have been no violations against the owners. As a matter of fact, they've gone out of their way to hire Mr. Harry Yee, who operated a Singapore restaurant for 8 years up in Pittsburgh. I guess he has an excellent track record. To the best of my knowledge, there's nothing that would inhibit them getting a license from passing certification.
Okay. All right, any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's
One
unanimous.
extension, Madam Chair.
4 in favor, and Mark abstains. Thank you very much. Good luck.
Good luck.
Board has a Class 2 motor vehicle license. Deb, you want to come forward? Deb, you just want to state your name and address for the secretary, please.
100 Boylston Street, Clinton.
Okay. I believe Joe and Deb, you presently have a license.
We do.
Class 2 motor vehicle license.
We do.
And that your intent this evening is to have the license under Metropolitan Motors in your name, Debbie?
Right.
As opposed to Joe's name, correct?
Correct.
And I believe the procedure has to be that you have to apply for a new license, being that it's not like a liquor license that you can transfer. You actually have to give up your license, your existing license, and the board would have to reissue a new license to you under the new name of your company, or because you're going to assume the licensee, become the licensee, Debbie. That's how I understand it, correct?
Right, yeah, since it's, as the chairman indicated, we don't just have like a transfer license. If we just have a letter from the prior owner just indicating that they want to cancel that license, and then that will be voided, and then a new license will be made out and the new name. So, just so there won't be two licenses at the same address, we can only have one.
So if you can just supply us with that, Joe, that you are relinquishing your license at that address, then we can give the license to,
Okay.
under the Metropolitan Motors.
Yeah.
Okay? Do you want, would it be proper for us to proceed knowing that a letter is forthcoming?
Yes, yes, because that way I'm sure they would want an approval before they would turn in the
Right,
license.
okay. So if, we'll just go through the procedure that, for the license, and then with the understanding that you folks will supply a letter.
Okay. Should we come to another selectmen's
No,
meeting?
we'll do
or
it all tonight.
Just
We'll
write
do
it
it all
up?
tonight, because obviously you're not going to give up your license unless you know that you're going to get it. But where we don't have it in hand, it'll be the understanding that you folks will supply us with a letter
Right.
saying that you are relinquishing your existing license.
Okay.
Okay. Is there anyone out there, do you have any other comments? The only other comment I have, Debbie, is, are you looking for what number of vehicles in, just
It was
as a question?
8 on the last one. I'm just looking to keep it the same as it was.
Okay. Any of the board members have any questions for Debbie or Joe? Being it is a hearing, we need to ask if there's anyone who is out there against this transfer. I'm sorry, not a transfer, but issuing of a new license. Move that close. Anybody against? Move that close. What's the pleasure of the board?
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the license, second-hand motor vehicle license to Deborah McMahon doing business as Metropolitan Motors, subject to receipt of a letter from Mr. Cody indicating that he is relinquishing his current license.
Second.
Second the motion.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're going to keep it nice up there, right?
Oh, yeah.
Looking nice.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Next agenda item is Nipro Inc. coming in on discussion on the update of the fields. Is there anyone? Oh, Dick, you just came in.
I only need him to see.
Good evening, gentlemen.
How are you doing?
Mr. Staples, I'll yield to you and you can give us an update.
Well, so far the field is coming out pretty good. We're putting the playground together now. And this week we should be putting the concrete in to hold the base in. And then we have to put the fry bar down, which is just like the dust or the chips. By next week they should be able to play on there. The fields themselves are in good shape. The only thing after that would be the top coat of the basketball court. We have to wait till the temperature gets up before that can be done. I think it came out pretty good.
Came out beautiful. Looks really nice. Beautiful. Okay. Also, I know we've received a letter from our engineers. Obviously, there's been a question about how we're going to maintain the fields and keep them, I know I have that too. I have it somewhere. Yeah, I have one. No, I have one. And gone ahead and we've had our engineers a quote. I don't know if you folks are aware of. Have you been supplied a copy of that?
Not to my knowledge.
Michael, do you think we could give them a copy just to...
Received some engineers to work for the town, gave that as an estimate to the water line
What we were hoping for is that perhaps tonight isn't the time to do it, but we could obviously do it on an off night, is to see if perhaps we could sit down and maybe look at a way that we could see this happen. Obviously, from our perspective, and I'm sure it's from yours as well, that we would hate to see all of the money and the time and effort that's been put into this to not have a mechanism to be able to maintain them properly. And obviously, getting adequate water to that site is an important issue, so.
Well, when we entered into this agreement, we're going to replicate what was there at the old Dame Field. And the old Dame Field did not have sprinklers. So this would be no better or no worse if they were not used. But we were asked, I think by the Parks and Rec, to put the sprinklers in. At that time, everybody knew what the water supply was. And I think there's a 2-inch line coming down Ash Street, which was an adequate supply. But we were never told at that time that that line couldn't be used. And it was, to me, it was a well-known fact by townspeople that there was a problem with that line.
Well,
So we started off with a, to replicate that field, I was asked for a quote on it, and it was about $100,000. And to this day, we're 3 times that. So we have done just about everything that was asked of us and more, because we wanted to be sure when we were done, we had a quality field. At this point, like I say, we're over 3 times the original amount. So I don't know how much further you would like us to go.
But I think we share your concern, though. We've invested a lot of money in putting down turf, which I think was the right way to go. It certainly will enable us to play on it this year, and it was a more expensive way to go, but I think it'll, in the long run, it's going to be a better field. And it would be a shame to have that, you know, and we can't control the weather. We don't know what the weather's going to be like. It would be a shame to have that deteriorate. So I think we certainly want to work with the town and try to come up with some means to make sure that the field doesn't deteriorate. One thought that we had was with the pending renovation to the school, it certainly would make a closer connection if something was tied in with that to bring in, you know, water to the site. And I realize that probably won't happen this summer, but it's probably not more than another season away from
Well, obviously, we didn't expect a commitment from you folks this evening, but we just wanted to see if there was at least an avenue for us to be able to discuss the issue with you.
Well, I think we certainly
You know, obviously, the cost is not an exorbitant amount of money, and, you know, again, whether you do or you don't is, you know, we're not putting an ultimatum before you. We're just saying that this is the quote that we have gotten. And at least if we could have a commitment from you that you would at least give us an opportunity to sit down and perhaps be able to work something out. If we do, we do. We don't, we don't.
Absolutely,
But,
absolutely.
What John is referring to on the school, at the present time, there's no connections on the back end of the school that I know of.
Yeah, we realize.
But there would be, after they do their demolition work down there, then they can go right out and connect it right in with whatever they're going to do down there. It would not be a problem at that time.
Well, I think we're talking about doing something this season. Obviously, we know what can happen in a year. And, but anyways, I don't want to belabor the issue, and I don't know if any of my other colleagues have any other thoughts on it, but, you know, please take that with you, and if, you know, you want to get in touch with the administrator, we can set something up. We'd certainly appreciate it.
We'd be more than happy to sit with you and you know,
Okay.
discuss different ways that it can be done.
Okay?
And we appreciate your support on this project. I think I agree with Dick, I think it came out spectacular.
Oh, it's absolutely wonderful.
We appreciate the fine work down there.
Yeah.
For the townspeople, it's going to be a good place to be.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you.
Madam Chair, I'd just like to, there were some volunteers that helped out in the new fields, and I'd just like to publicly thank them while the time is still there.
Sure, go ahead.
These are just some of the people who helped out, not only over the last weekend, but over the last year. From Nipro, Dick Staples, Jim Troutner, Ed Valley, Dave Trink, Tom Pierce, from D'Amico Landscaping, Dale D'Amico, Steve D'Amico, Tony D'Amico, and Tom Steele, J.J. Moran and Son Company, John Moran Jr., and David Casano, and Construction Dynamics, Matt O'Toole, Clinton Parks and Recreation, Kathy DiTullio, Claudio DiTullio, Dan Bellevue, Nick Pito, Mike Notaro, and Daria Janda, and from the community, Karen Moore and Bob Champagne. And I know Joe Troutner actually helped out, and I think that was his name, not supposed to be Jim, so Joe, thanks to Joe, and these people put in a lot of time, so I'd just like to thank them again. And
Well, we thank
best
them one and
wishes.
all. Okay. I don't know if Claire, I don't know if you guys want to, Claire's not here tonight, huh? Okay. You want to move forward to form a committee? Into the old and new business? We have some correspondence from, Claire O'Neill, on an application to the Economic Development Incentive Program. And I know that she mentions that it's a building 203 Union Street that's being rehabbed, and they're looking for some local property tax relief. And I know that we did do this on one other piece of property in the town, being Corcoran House, and she's essentially asking if the board is in favor of this, and she's suggesting a team be formed, perhaps with the administrator, and if the solicitor would like to serve on it, and a member of the board, and to at least look into it and see if it's something that the town would be interested in pursuing at that particular piece of property. So what's the pleasure of the board? Or at least open up for discussion.
Where is this property at?
203 Union Street,
across the
right
street.
across, right next to Philbin's Law
Philbin's
Office.
Law Office.
Okay.
It's not making a
Right, the old
commitment.
courthouse, like?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. This evening, all you'd really be doing is forming a committee to look at it and to see if it's something that they would want to suggest. That's why I think if there was a board member on that committee, it would probably help. So I know the solicitor
Well,
has come in, so.
Yeah, I guess I'd just say that I believe that tax increment financing legislation is an incredibly beneficial tool for the town to use to get economic development going in the town of Clinton. And the proposal, as I read it anyways, is to bring in a new company into that building that will, as I read it, hire 11 full-time professional people over the course of the next 5 years or so. That's a minimum. Hopefully, there would be many more than that. So I would move that we approve the request of the Economic Development Director and appoint a committee consisting of Michael Ward, Dennis Sargent, Claire O'Neill, any member of the board who is interested, and possibly even a member of the Board of Assessors, if they're interested.
Five.
Is that zone light industry down there, or is it Heavy industry or anything?
Well, they're already in business.
already
They've
in
been in
business.
business
In that
since
building.
1992, yes.
Okay.
They've already done improvements. This is
All
just
right.
continuing, and actually with the projection that by the year 2004, they would have 24 full-time employees.
And
With
frankly,
planning
what-
growth of
Yeah, what
10
they're
million
looking
in
for,
revenue.
quite frankly, is that their current tax assessment would not be affected.
Affected.
Yes,
But that
I see
improvements that they made, the tax levy on those improvements would be,
Deferred.
lowered
Yeah.
over a number of years, so that 5 or 6 years from now, we would be getting the full tax value.
Right.
So we're getting potentially 20 new additional jobs in town, professional jobs, a better piece of property, and 5 years, 6 years from now, getting full value for the property. So I think it's a pretty good idea.
Oh, I think it's a great idea. Okay, I'd be willing to serve on the committee as a member of the board.
Good. Great.
Okay.
Move
What's
to
the,
include Mary Rose Dickout on the committee.
Second.
okay. All right, so the motion, is there a second?
I second
I'll
that.
second
Okay,
that.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, it's unanimous. Okay, we also had a request from Middlesex Construction Company, Inc., that are looking to do a subdivision, and they will be going before the planning board, and as has been in recent history, they have come before the board, and we have been able to negotiate to have some improvements done to our sewer system, so they're asking for perhaps a meeting in the near future to go over some issues in our infrastructure. So would it, I suspect it would be appropriate for these, either through solicitor or Mr. Ward, to set something up to have the folks come in? Okay. I'll accept that in the form of a motion if it's the pleasure of the board.
Which I move that we instruct the solicitor or the administrator to contact North Middlesex Construction Company to set up a meeting with the board to discuss water and sewer connections on Wilson Street.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Also, we've had a request from the Department of Public Works and the Board of Health in their interest in assisting the board in updating curbside pickup regulations for the town. So I think they're looking to form some kind of a committee to at least look into it. And I know the building inspector has also asked if he could serve on that committee, and they're looking for a member of the board, selectmen, the Board of Health, Department of Public Works, the town administrator, health agent, recycling commission, and town solicitor. And also, as I said, the building inspector, who served on solid waste committees in the past, has offered to assist in this matter. So what's the pleasure of the board?
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion that we start up a subcommittee consisting of the following boards that are in this letter.
Do we have a member of the board that would like to offer? I'll serve on it. Okay, Dino's going to serve on it.
Madam Chair, I'd like to serve on that also, if it's
Okay.
all right
Sure,
with the board.
absolutely. So we have two members who have volunteered, Dino and Mark. So I'll accept the motion to form the committee and have those two members serve on it.
So moved.
Is there a
Second.
second? Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Okay. We have the tax relief for senior citizens. We have several residents who have expressed interest in serving on the subcommittee. And if someone would like to move those individuals, if it's their pleasure.
Madam Chair, I move that we appoint Bruce Center, Bob Champagne, Ara Tyler, David Baird to the newly established Tax Relief for Senior Citizens Committee.
I'll second the motion, Madam Chair.
Any discussion?
Good.
Okay, I thought you were going to say something.
I was, but go ahead.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.
Madam Chair, at this time, I'd also like to submit my own name, although I would be as a private citizen, not as a member of the Board of Selectmen, seeing I won't be here in another month.
All right.
I make a
Right.
motion that we appoint Marty McNamara to the Tax Relief for Senior Citizens Committee.
Second.
Which McNamara? Is that the fourth?
The fourth, I'm sorry.
Okay.
My name is mixed up.
All those in favor?
Second, yep. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, it's unanimous.
Thank you.
Okay. The rifle range, lease, Dennis, I think we're going to try to meet on an off night to finalize that. And we have tentatively picked Monday night at 6:30. Does that work for you?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
I know he's not going to be on vacation, right?
Yeah.
He just got back.
Okay. Do we have, anyone have anything on committee reports? Okay, why don't we take a 5-minute recess and then we'll reconvene and we'll be meeting with the school committee and Parks and Rec Commission.
Yeah, most of my people went to Florida and
I didn't hear anything back from you, so that's why I didn't mention anything. Yeah, I wasn't sure.
Jenny's working, so I'm gonna be representing the school.
Okay. No, I prefer to take you, Deb, just so you don't have to stay.
I think the still like.
That's your two parks and Rec.
No, they're not here yet.
You gonna sit with them?
But it's decided. I'll make it
Okay.
back and forth.
Deb Grant?
The recycle committee had a meeting last week, and we discussed a recycling day. So we'd like to collect some things that we can recycle, appliances, tires, some propane tanks, things like that. I also gave you a sheet that tells you what was recycled as of last fiscal year, so you can see the breakdown of what was recycled at the center and the average cost per ton. So you can see that. Also, the current solid waste tipping fee, and the recycle fee is a lot less than the tipping fee, so just a breakdown for your information. And then also the recycle committee members, there currently too is also 4 openings for new members if anyone's interested. The main reason I came this evening was to advertise the Recycle Day, which is going to be on Saturday, April 22nd, from 8 to noon at the Recycle Center. And April 22nd is also the 30th anniversary of Earth Day, so we thought it'd be a great day to do some recycling and promote that. We're going to collect appliances, which would include stoves and hot water heaters, washers, dryers, those things, for about $5 each. Refrigerators cost $10 each because they do have to take those away separately because of the freon in the refrigerator and the chemicals in the refrigerator, so they have to dispose of those separately. Tires would be $2 each, and that would be a regular truck or car tire. Propane tanks for your gas grills, they expire after 12 years. So on your gas tank, there's a stamped date on it. So if it's older than 12 years, you can't get it refilled. So if anyone has those laying around in their yard or garages or whatever, they can also bring those down for $5 a piece. Also, as of April 1st, the state has mandated that TVs and computer screens, the CRTs, can no longer be landfilled. They can't be thrown away with your regular trash because of the hazardous material in them. So we also are looking into collecting TVs and computer equipment for that day. I haven't got a price yet, so I'm not sure if it's going to be too costly to do that, but we would charge people whatever it would cost us to collect them. And then we are also looking into just renting a dumpster for miscellaneous items. People call all the time about mattresses and air conditioners and microwaves, things like that. So we thought maybe if we got a dumpster and just charged per item whatever they threw away, depending on either the size or the weight or how many items we could fit in there to cover our costs for the dumpster, that might be another option, and we're trying to do that too. We will also meet again on next Tuesday, April 11th at 6:30 in the auditorium, and we'd like anyone interested in recycling, anyone interested in maybe volunteering on Saturdays, because we'd like to open the center again on Saturdays. anyone who has ideas, other ideas of items we could collect on that recycle day in April. We're inviting anyone who would like to come and talk to us about recycling and give us their input so that we can see what's out there, what needs to be collected. I know I do get calls too about hazardous waste paint and household hazardous waste chemicals, things like that, and it's very costly to do those days. And we are looking into maybe doing it in conjunction with a few other towns in the area, but they do still run between $2,000 and $5,000 per town, or sometimes it breaks down to like $25 to $50 for household, depending on what you bring in. So those are the present costs, and I know that I think Bolton and Stowe and a few other towns in that area are doing one in April sometime, and we might look into maybe with Lancaster and Clinton and maybe some other towns, maybe in the fall, something like that. So, and if anyone has any questions, they can give me a call or any input if they can't make the meeting on Tuesday, April 11th. And that's pretty much what I wanted to tell you.
Debbie, do you have that posted downstairs, or are you going to get them out so
Yes,
people
I
know?
will.
Or-
Yeah.
okay. So again, the recycling day is going to be April 22nd from 8 to noon at the recycling center. And you're having another meeting on April 11th at 6:30 in the auditorium to
Right.
discuss the day, so, okay. All right.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Katie.
Okay, if everyone is here that is expected to be here for this discussion, we will proceed. I think we have, is there anyone else that would like to address the board on any other issues before we go into this particular discussion? Just seeing if there's anyone else out there that has any other business before the board. Okay. Is there anyone else for public comment? Okay. We just don't want to, in case this could become lengthy or whatever, I don't want to leave someone sitting out there. Okay.
Mayor Rose, excuse me, will there be public comment possibly after this discussion?
Sure, sure. I just didn't know if, I didn't, like, let's just say if we didn't take Debbie, I didn't want to leave her sitting out there for like the time. Okay. So the board has a meeting with the school committee, the Parks and Rec, and our board to discuss an issue. We are in receipt of a letter from the Clinton Public Schools, from the superintendent of schools, in regards to authorizing a request for a letter from the Board of Selectmen for the use of the fields behind the former high school. Members of the school committee are asking that the school children at the new elementary school be permitted access to these fields during the school day during the school year. This area would be used for recess and physical education activities. During the site visit, the school building assistance representative, I was told the site was acceptable provided that there was a letter from the Board of Selectmen authorizing use of these fields by the children at the new elementary school for 25 years. Because the site contains only 6.5 acres, it is essential that this land be included in the site plan. It just goes on, it is not the intention of the school department to deny access to the area during the school day. In fact, the tot lots at Parkhurst School and Clinton High School are frequently used by residents of the community. In addition, the school committee does not desire to retake possession of this land. Rather, the committee hopes to work collectively with other town departments to make sure these fields serve the needs of all the citizens of Clinton. The members of the school committee thank you for your consideration of this request and welcome the opportunity to meet with the Board of Selectmen, Parks and Rec Committee to address any questions or concerns the members may have regarding this request, and obviously that's why we're all here this evening. So, having said that, whoever would like to come forward from the school, if we want to do it that way, and then we'll...
Hopefully this is more of a molehill than a mountain. It's basically a formality. This is nothing new to the town of Clinton. When we built the high school, we needed access to the land at Fuller Field to qualify, because we didn't have the field across the street at the time. When we met, the building committee met back on October 19th of 1999, that was on the agenda. And I have the minutes of that meeting here, where it was clearly stated, and Mr. Iacobucci was there. He's listed as being there. And at the minutes of the meetings, it said the old high school, it said the site does not meet the current qualification for an elementary school, which is for our project of 19 acres. However, this building site can be grandfathered because it has always been an educational site. We would need a letter from Parks and Rec, or I guess the selectmen, that the school could use the land behind the building for 25 years. Now, when we gave up the land behind the school, we had the meeting in the room next door. When NIPRO, we were all called in, Marty was there. We all met that evening, and on that evening it was brought up because that was one of my concerns, because we had the Building Needs Committee. And I had no problem turning it over in good faith to the town if we could spring the deal with NIPRO. But that was certainly discussed that evening. So it is nothing new, and all we're looking for is a letter of access to the fields. We're all talking about Clinton kids here. We're talking down there from preschool to 4th grade, and all the rest of the kids in town are in school. If the kids are in school, all we're asking is for access during school hours. If the kids aren't in school, they certainly shouldn't be out on the ball fields playing. I don't see where it should be a conflict to anyone. And we're certainly not looking to, the school committee is not looking to operate and delegate who goes on and off those fields. We have enough to do. If we can assist in any way, we certainly would be willing to discuss assisting whatever other boards might be involved with that, whether it be Parks and Rec or Selectmen or anyone else, in maintaining the areas. But certainly we're not looking to make it our own little kingdom. They're town fields, we respect that, we want them to be town fields, but to qualify for the site with the acreage, we simply need a letter of access during school hours. When school's not in session, they'd be wide open to the town.
So those are your comments from the school board?
Those would be my comments from, I think, the school board, unless Ginny has something else to add.
No, I researched the minutes. I knew we had discussed it with board members, and I went back into my September 1st, 98 minutes that I keep myself, and I've still clearly got it stated that we would vote on this if the deed affected the per square foot, that it would be per child required that the school would get access to the fields.
Well,
In your minutes from when?
That I took on September 1st, 98.
That was the meeting, was that the meeting with Dr. Sleeman?
Yes, and the school,
Right. I have the meetings from October 1999 of the Building Needs Committee.
And
A list
Mark
of
was
people-
there.
List of people in attendance, the people who were absent, and what was discussed, and that was openly discussed at that meeting.
So I have minutes here from October 19th, and I don't see those things there
I
anymore.
have them right here, if you'd like to look at them.
Sure.
Certainly.
I don't know whether the question is whether this is a new issue or not.
Right. What's the
Well,
question?
that's what we've been hearing, that you didn't know
That
anything
nobody knew
about
anything
this.
about this.
well,
And Crack and Rex is going, they haven't heard anything about this.
Go ahead, Madam Chair. Please,
yeah, go ahead.
Well, when I was on the building needs, the reason why I told we were going after that site, and the reason why I voted for that site, because I was told we didn't have, I believe it was 19 acres or whatever the current number was to build a school on, and we could build on this site because it was an existing school site. That's all I heard. I didn't hear anything about the land in the back, nothing. And I don't see anything in the notes I got here.
May I approach?
Maybe I just don't see it, maybe I'm missing it. These are from the October 19th, 1999 Building Needs Committee.
Paragraph 8, section 3.
Well,
Can I ask
just,
Eddie, you know, you folks have showed several renderings of what the new elementary school will look like, correct?
Right.
In any of those, were any playground areas outlined?
No.
The only thing that's showing on those right there are the educational building. I haven't seen a rear view of it yet.
I guess I
Including
have
the land area.
one other question of a comment you made, and that was that when school is not in session,
Yep.
the fields would be available to anybody.
Right.
Does that mean that when school is in session, they will be open only to the people in the school?
I doubt it. I mean, we've had playgrounds in Clinton for 100 years with schools. Down at Parkhurst, people use the playground every day. I'm just saying that when they're in session, generally they're gonna be for recess. You're not gonna be having Little League games while school's in session.
I would hope not.
I mean,
because
but
I hope the Little League
if
is
they-
going to be in
all we're
school.
talking that's out on
I'm
the-
talking about...
The only ones out on the
I'm talking
street-
about several gentlemen playing basketball on the court during the day, and suddenly it's recess time. Are they going to be told to vacate?
Gentlemen playing basketball
You got
where?
a half a dozen guys down there playing basketball on the court at 10 o'clock in the morning. They're on vacation. School is in session.
Well, I would...
Now it's recess time.
I
Are those
would-
gentlemen going to be asked to vacate that basketball court?
I don't think that's ever been a problem. I don't know. I can't tell you what might happen. I would ask that they be respecting the kids in the school if that's the case.
But that's where my problem comes in.
Well, if we
This
have a
field was
problem
built-
over a playground, over a brand-new school for the town of Clinton, because of a basketball game, Artie, I think our priorities
No,
are out of whack.
Well, Eddie, you're missing the point, apparently.
Maybe I must be.
When that field was built, it was built for the residents of the town of Clinton.
Exactly.
We gave up, the Parks and Recreation Department gave up a field down on Pleasant Street
Exactly.
that was open 24 hours a day to anybody who wanted to go down there and play.
Right.
In return, the Nipro Corporation built the current field that we're talking about.
Correct.
From day one, it was this board's intention that that would be the replacement field, and it would be open to the residents of the town at any hour of the day.
Well, when we made the agreement with you, Marty, and you were in that room.
Yes, I was, and I have the minutes
And
from that meeting, Ed, and
Well,
you
I
did
never
say-
saw the minutes from that meeting,
You did
Marty.
say,
And we
what
should
if
have.
we needed, and I think Mike
We
Jaconski
made
answered
it-
that, but there was never a commitment by any member of this board that if you come back, we're gonna give you back your fields.
Well, I disagree with you.
There was never a
There was certainly a consensus around there that evening.
As
that if
I
we-
read the minutes, it was, okay, we'll give you the field if you'll give us the 48 acres.
Well, Marty, I'll tell you.
That's what the minutes say. Ed.
Well, I don't know who wrote the minutes, but we never saw the minutes of that meeting. And we certainly didn't approve the minutes. It was a joint meeting. I think we should have been entitled to review the minutes.
Well, then I guess, you could go back and forth, really, Ed. We were not present at a meeting that you were suggesting that one selectman was there, and he's
Right.
speaking for the entire board. I know when we were, and I would concur with what Marty is saying, it was a very hard sale, and some of those members from the Parks and Rec are sitting in this room tonight. They were adamant about the fact that they did not want to give up Dame Field. And it was a hard sale on the Board of Selectmen's part because we felt it was a win-win for the town of Clinton. We were gonna, and we asked, we went to town hall, Eddie, please, don't make faces, let me finish what I'm
making
saying,
faces.
okay?
Yep.
All right. Gave you your time to speak, and I didn't interrupt you. When we went to town hall floor, we asked the people in Clinton to give up one of only two public parks where people constantly use, Vale Street and Dame Field. We said we would replicate that exactly, if not better, than what they had. And it was for, as Marty said, 365 days a year, 24 hours a day, if people wanted to use it. There was never any deal made in any meetings, either public or executive, in my mind, that ever had the Board of Selectmen making concessions to your board that we would give up Dame Field, do a new ballpark, and then if you came to us and said, we need it, we're going to give it back to you. Or we're going to make concessions and give up hours of use of that park. I will tell you right now, I'll take a lie detector test. I did not agree to you, or did it ever get into any discussion. That was on September 1st. We met on September 9th. We went from public into executive, we came back out. There was much discussion. As Marty said, you people were more concerned with your 48 acres up on 110. You didn't care, you could have cared less about that, other than one blurb about you being concerned about a new elementary school in the future. There was no agreement made by the board to make any concessions.
Mary Rose, I would appreciate it if you did not try to speak for what we felt. I know what I brought up that evening. I remember what I remember. I respect you remember what you remember. But please don't speak for what we brought to the table that night. We, in good faith, with this board, knowing that we may need that field to qualify, came to that meeting that night. And we sat there and we told you that night, we have no problem giving it over. It's a win-win situation for the town of Clinton, but we may need access, a license to that field to qualify for whatever we might be doing with the old high school. And that was brought up that evening.
Let me ask you, Edward, do you honestly believe that Marty and Jerry and myself would have sat there and said to you, okay, we'll give up Dane Field for Nipro, give you 110 property, and a crapshoot about the new field? Do you honestly believe that we would have sat there and done that?
I honestly believe that that's the consensus we left with.
I mean, I got a question. When did this all come up that you needed this field? Right from the beginning? Or you just bring it up last week?
Right from the beginning. That came.
Well, why did you bring it up at the beginning instead of waiting till the 28th to discuss it at the meeting?
They did, they said.
They brought it up?
That's what they said. You and I and Marty.
Oh, I see.
Hello, everyone. As chairman of the Needs Committee, I think it's important to step in to go over this process. First off, we did discuss it early on that we would need access. There's no...
To who did you discuss this?
To the Needs Committee and every community group that we went into. We openly talked about recess and playgrounds.
Did you ever think of talking to the Selectboard?
The Board of
In front of you
Selectmen.
folks, you answered, you asked questions, and we talked about the fact that the kids...
We never brought this up.
Not once was
Not
that
once.
discussed at our meeting, Mark.
We are looking for a letter of access. We talked about the fact that the children would play in the fields behind the school.
To who?
To you folks. If you had had any kind of an open mind and open ears, you would have listened to the discussion that night. And we're not, this discussion of our field, your field, this and that. Ladies and gentlemen, this is our town's fields. And it is our town property. And all we're looking to do is allow the children to play on it.
Yeah, but Mark,
Now the maintenance of those fields is a valid issue. And I think the school committee and Parks and Rec need to come to an agreement on maintaining that property. But if you look at the letter that Superintendent Philbin submitted to the chairperson, it says right in it, in the third paragraph down, the school department has no intention to deny access to the area during the school day to anyone in the community. So Marty, your question regarding the basketball court, according to Superintendent Philbin, is to not ask those people to leave the property. Now, surrounding towns, every community that surrounds this community has town property that the playgrounds are on, abutting their elementary schools, and they do exclude, they ask the citizens of the community to leave the property during recess. Every community that borders Clinton does that today, for the safety of the children.
But Mark, you're missing the point too. I mean, we gave up a municipal ball field over at Dane Field. And now when the school kids are out there, and what if there's just kids playing on the field or people out there, what's gonna happen when there's people already using the field and the kids come out for recess? That's the problem here. It should be a municipal field. Once the school kids come out there, it's not a municipal field anymore. It's gonna be private.
It is not a private field, and that's a quote that's just off base. It's public property, it's town property, and I think this whole debate is silly.
When there's kids on it.
It is a silly debate. What's going on here tonight is silly. I think this is a simple decision. I think it's a budgetary issue that you need to nail down the maintenance of that property, but it's not ours, theirs discussion. It's the town's property, and to deny access to the children to have recess in that field, or to circumvent 2 elections to stop a school from being built, would be criminal. It's ridiculous to even be having this level of discussion over this issue. Every community that borders Clinton does exactly what we're looking to do tonight.
Yeah, but maybe we're not willing to do that.
Maybe we're not willing.
Well, that
to
raises some serious
to
questions.
deny
Dino.
access. It's noontime and there's 6 people playing basketball down there. Wait a minute.
Okay.
My little girl's in that school. Now she's out at recess and there's choice words flying around. I don't want that to happen. Is that okay? I mean,
That's your prerogative not to want that to happen, but
Right.
the superintendent in this letter
Right.
is not saying that he is going to deny access
But
to
I would-
anyone in the community.
How's he gonna do that, Mark? How's he gonna say, not deny, is he gonna just tell the kids to go back inside? There's people out there.
yeah, there's people playing with King Joseph Fields today?
There's
Is that fair to anybody?
There's
It's great
supervised
to get on paper, but
recess.
how's he gonna do it?
Can I ask a couple questions?
Certainly.
About the layout of the property down there? According to the superintendent, the site contains 6.5 acres. Is that including or not including the fields that we're discussing?
That's including.
That's including. And those fields, as I understand it, are about 2.3 acres. So there's a little over 4 acres of land that the school building would actually...
Parking lot building,
Do
yeah.
we know how big of a footprint the actual school building is going to be taking up?
It's actually going to be, it's probably 20 feet smaller than where the industrial arts wing comes out today. I don't have the exact footprint for you. The preschool and kindergarten playgrounds are going to be separate playgrounds up on the sides of the building, not down near the baseball fields and basketball court. So
Can I ask,
Sure.
has the school board given any consideration to the fact that the current elementary school, former St. John's School, where I proudly went to school, will not be in use when the new school is built? And the
It'll have
current-
office space,
Well, it'll
part,
have
things like that, but
some,
not
but
children.
it won't be
Sure.
used to the extent it is, that it is
Correct.
today.
Well, there won't be as many children housed there
Right.
now.
So
And
that
maybe
there
a
won't
daycare.
be the need for as big a playground in that schoolyard as there currently is.
Sure.
There won't be as many cars, I'm assuming, parked in the parking lot as there currently is. So was any consideration given to the fact that maybe what we could do is, instead of having such a large parking area like we have now at the old high school site, to have teachers and staff park at the old elementary site and create a new playground area, recess area in the old parking lot, so that this whole issue goes away?
You're gonna have, you're gonna have,
It's not an issue of the playground, it's an issue of the acreage. They need that amount of land.
I understand that, Ed,
It's not just-
but, again, we're thinking real short-sighted here. If we say the school has their own recess area that is separate from the park's fields, I don't think the board would have a real problem in saying, well, if you need it just so you can say you have 6.5 acres, fine, but in reality, you're not going to use it. You're going to use the old parking lot, which is going to now be a playground area.
we also have 2 other green areas for playground use at the site around the building. There's gonna be a section over on the municipal parking lot side, and there's gonna be a site between the fire station around that section and the, where the entrance is gonna be. There's gonna be another green area down there. So we're not saying that the kids are always gonna be out and back, because they're not. And I doubt very much pre-K through, they're not gonna be on the basketball courts. Maybe the 4th grade, maybe shooting hoops. I'm not sure what the classes in phys ed do at that age, but they're not gonna be on the basketball courts. And they're not gonna be in the tot yard either. And there are other fields and our other playgrounds, like if they wanna play ball or anything, the other lots are all open. The 48-acre lots will be open, the new fields up on 110. There's a tot area up at the new high school that's opened. The kids, those are open all day. Kids can come and go as they please with their parents or who's ever watching them. So we're not...
They're gonna be able to come and go as they please up at the 48 acres and up at the other school fields?
Yes. Those are gonna be accessible any time of day. And they're gonna be lit at night.
Okay.
I think, the concern, Dino, regarding a group of guys playing ball during a recess is absolutely a valid concern. I'd have that concern. But I think we do have enough open space with courts and whatnot in the community that we can go. I've been asked before, playing in gyms and whatnot, hey, can you take it down to another park in town because we've got something going on? And you know what? You jump in your car if you want to continue playing and you go play down in another park. I don't think this is a ludicrous request here. I think it's a simple request. In all of our discussions throughout the community and here when we spoke in front of you folks, the fact that kids were going to be on the fields playing was a given from my perspective, and I was openly discussing it. And having a letter that said it was okay to play on it, I felt personally was a very simple thing to get and not a very difficult thing or even a controversial thing. I was aware of, and I agree with, the budgetary issues as far as how you maintain and make sure that this quality field that we've just put in place in town gets maintained and doesn't lose any, any of the brand new playground that got put in this weekend or the nice fields and whatnot. I mean, we have to maintain this thing, and I think we can't do it and just throw it over the fence to the Parks and Rec and tell them, hey, you take care of it, but we'll put 900 kids on it every day. I mean, there has to be some cooperation between the boards and the committees in town to make this thing work and make it happen. But I think the discussions of this is ours and that's theirs. This has to stop, and we have to come together as multiple boards in this town and move forward. And I think the school committee is willing to do that, and hopefully the Parks and Rec's open to working with the school committee. And I ask that you move forward on Superintendent Philbin's letter to authorize the use of the land during
Do
the
we have a representative from the Parks and Rec who would like to speak?
Several here.
Just to touch on what Mark said, I mean, it's not, I don't think it's about ours or yours. I think it's a town issue. It is a town issue. And it's a municipal ball field. That's my concern. I just don't want to see anyone turned away because now it's being privately run by whoever.
Again,
There's a
I'll
safety
take
aspect,
note on
There's
the...
a safety aspect
Yes, it is.
in there also.
I think it should have been brought up, like you said, you talked it over. I don't think you talked it over with the right people. I think you should have brought this up on the floor when you wanted to vote down here and brought it up then to the people. We gotta take the fields over. You should have brought it up right there.
Jerry, you're incorrect in saying that. We don't have to take the fields over. That's an incorrect statement.
Well, you're gonna have to...
We're asking for access to the fields. We're not asking to take them over. You have to be careful of what you say.
Yeah.
And what you're saying by taking over the fields is an incorrect
It's
statement.
gonna start off this way, and all of a sudden there's somebody down there playing basketball, and like Dina was saying...
And then what may happen is, because of parents' concern, that they're asked to go play down at Vale Street.
Yeah.
And that's not too much to ask for a few citizens of this town to move
And where
to
are
the
they gonna
safety
play
of
on?
900
That's where you run
children.
into the
But
problem.
you can't deny
There's
them
no
that.
basketball
You cannot
on Beale
deny
Street.
that.
That's where you
According
run
to your
into the
letter, you
problem.
cannot deny them their time in those fields.
I'm not saying to deny them that, but if a case brought forward to you folks and you felt that you had to, as a Board of Selectmen, deny access, you could do that. The superintendent of schools is not saying he'd deny
You're
access.
missing the point. It's a town park, open 365 days a year, 24 hours a day.
Well, I disagree with the number of hours, by the way, as well. The town park's
Sit down the
closed at
ball
dark.
field down here, they're down here playing 10, 11 o'clock at night down here.
And when the
Beale
lights
Street.
go off, it's closed. So it's not 24 hours a day. Anyway, I'd like to get the perspective of the Parks and Rec, because I think it's
Let's get his hand on the back window.
First of all, I'd like to clarify a miscommunication amongst the boards. The Parks and Recreation did not know that the school committee, that this land was involved with the building of the new school. If so, we would have never designed it the way it's designed, with the concession stand in the middle, the big basketball court, all the fences around it. I know I do recess duty, and I'm kind of caught in the middle because I'm also the phys ed teacher. We would like to work with the two boards. That's what we're here for. It's the same kids that are in our schools, that are going to use the playground, that play baseball, that are in our summer programs, that are in the school enrichment programs. It's the selectmen's jurisdiction right now. The Parks and Rec, we worked very hard to get these fields intact, along with NIPRO and the selectmen, And we're kind of caught in the middle here. Maintenance is our biggest problem. Mike, I'll turn it over to you if you have any more comments. I'm kind of caught in the middle here between teaching and I'm also involved in the minor league. So I'm kind of all around, and I'm for the kids, but private versus public concerns me as far as the use of the fields go. Michael?
People, I think we as members of the Parks and Recreation, Selectmen, the school committee, I guess the word I'm looking for is collaborate, all right? It's time that we start working together.
Yeah, but it has to start from the beginning.
Well, it can start right now, Dino.
It can start right now, but right now might be too late.
Why is it too late?
Well,
I mean,
because-
do you think the townspeople would have voted differently if they had come right out and said, we need that piece of land?
Why wasn't it come right out? Why wasn't it broadcast?
I don't think it would have changed the vote of the
I
townspeople
don't
that
think it
came
would- it
up
might
that
not
day
have
and
changed the
voted
vote, but it
on
might
whether
have
we build a new
enlightened
school or
people.
not. Do you know, like Mary Rose said, could I speak now?
Yes, you can.
Thank you. I think we as the members of the Parks and Recreation would like to see that you write a letter saying that they have access. I think all three boards could sit down together, if that's what it's going to take, and work something out, come up with a possible solution where it's good for the whole community. Not for the school committee, not for the selectmen, not for the Parks and Recreation. Collaborate. That's the word, work together. We have to work together. They said vote, let's build a new school. If they need a letter, I believe we should give it to them. Anything else after the fact, I think we should be able to sit down and work it out. It's got to stop, and I mean, it came up here, it came up there. My field, my school, his field. No, it's the communities.
That's right, and no one can ever say that this board is against the kids in this town, the safety of the kids in this town, or the use of
And Dino,
any
I would never
public
say that.
facility.
I would never say that.
Okay.
That's not what I'm saying.
Has the Parks and Recreation Committee taken any kind of vote on whether to support this request?
Yes, we have.
And what was the result of that vote? Because quite frankly, my feeling is that we took a field from the Parks Department and we gave you one back. And if the Parks Department doesn't have a problem with the school board using that facility for recesses, certainly I'm not going to stop it.
We are caught in the middle here. It's not our jurisdiction, it's not...
Well, it's not your jurisdiction, but this board did commit to you that we would give you back the fields that we took from you on Dame Field.
Right.
And that is what we're talking about. Now, if you folks, as the Parks Department and the leaders of the recreational activities in this town, who work with the minor league and the little league, don't have a problem with the Clinton schools using those facilities, far be it from me to say, you're not getting it.
We do have a problem with that because we didn't know from the beginning that this was happening, and we honestly didn't. We do have a problem like that. We read it in the newspaper. But on the other hand, we had a long discussion the other night. Who's it for?
Well, you're right.
It's for the
the same
kids.
kids.
I do recess duty. I know what they're like. There'll have to be strict rules, et cetera, et cetera. We have to sit down and work about maintenance. You're talking 180 kids a day out there on the fields and the playground, the sprinkler heads. No, we're not happy, but we discuss it, and it's for the kids, and that's kind of our consensus. No, we like it the way it is, but then again, it's not our field, it's the town's field. We don't want to deny any access to anybody. My kids were in daycare, and my sitter took them to parks. They went down to Dame Field and played on the equipment. Do I want to deny someone else of that during school hours? No. It's something that we're going to have to work out.
May I make a suggestion? And I think we kind of touched on this the other day at the Parks and Rec meeting. One, if, and Ginny made a good point, how they're going to have little playgrounds off to the side in areas of the new school.
Tot lots.
How would the boards feel about just the fields themselves being open to the school during school hours, and the basketball and playground in that area just being open to the municipal, to the public, just the playground area and the basketball. And the fields itself just being open to the school kids during school hours. That way
I
there's
think that's something we have to work
less
out
of a
later. I
maintenance
think the
issue.
issue right here now, Mark, is to get the letter, let the school get on with it, let them finish their plan, get their school going. The letter's the big thing.
Well, this I'm trying to- yeah, but the letter-
I understand
the
that.
letter's
Maybe
kinda
that's a
vague though,
good
Mike.
idea, when we sit together, to bring up things like this, bring up issues. Recess isn't from 8:30 to 3:30. They
Well, I
are in
understand
school a good part of the day.
It's hard to get
You
that
know,
on the
recess
sign though,
may be
putting
20
different
minutes at a
hours
time.
and minutes.
20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes in the afternoon.
Right.
I mean,
But how do you
recess
post
don't
something
go
like
all
that,
day.
Mike?
Are we talking basically 5 months out of the year? Are we talking September, October, and then April, May, and June?
Right.
We're not talking the summer months?
No. Well, summer school, they have programs.
So it would strictly be September and October, maybe into November, if the weather's good,
When it doesn't rain or snow, we're out.
at the school?
Yeah. But of course, they wouldn't be able to go on the fields if there was snow.
But at that point in time, there's no
Yeah.
baseball or anything going
No.
on that I'm aware of.
There's snow.
And then we're talking about April, May, and June, and then the kids are out.
Can I just make a quick statement? On behalf of the school committee, I agree with Mr. Notaro that the boards should start acting collaboratively. I don't see this as a mountain that we can't overcome to everybody's satisfaction if we sit down, make the rules among ourselves, and adhere to them. But for the purpose of getting on with the construction of the school, I would ask that the letter be submitted. I'll make a commitment on behalf of the schools that we will sit down, we will work out whatever type of rules we need to enforce or put into effect. But I suggest that we get beyond this and straighten it out among ourselves later. I don't see it's that big an issue.
I think the point was missed from the beginning. This should have all been ironed out right at the beginning, instead of waiting till now and then give you a letter, and then all of a sudden it'll come back that you want more than you want. I mean, it's a town park.
Mr. Buckton, you're absolutely right, but you know what? Maybe somewhere along the line, somebody dropped the ball. Well, now it's time for all of us as a whole to pick it back up and move on.
Now, who's
I
gonna
would
take-
even like to throw a challenge out to the school committee besides this new ball field down there. I mean, we as the Parks and Rec sometimes sit and we say, okay, we're having playgrounds for 7 weeks in the summer. We have it up at the middle school field. Now, we don't know what we're gonna do when it's raining out. Because sometimes we're told, well, no, you can't go in there because this is going in there. So just as another challenge of working together with the Parks and Rec and the school committee, to give you a schedule. If it rains out, we'd like to be able to come into the gym as long as there's not a school function or a basketball camp. If that is in fact happening, let us use the cafeteria or the auditorium. These kids need a place to go when it's raining. That's that's community. Not just this school, all of them. All the schools, all the fields. We should be able to sit down, get together, work something out. As a committee, we'll come to you, you come to us, let's work it out, let's get on with it, let's build a new school.
There's still a
Let's
safety
not
issue
sit here
with
and yell and
children
scream
playing in
at
the
each other.
playground.
Pardon me?
There's still a safety issue with children playing down there when it's a town park and
And I
people are
don't
in there.
disagree with you there, Mr. Bufton, but those are the things that we should sit down and talk about after, and we really should do this.
I
We
think it should
shouldn't
be
walk
talked
away
about
from here
before,
tonight.
not after.
I know, and like I just said, it didn't.
Before. After is too late, just like this is, too late. After, things should have been brought on the table right at the
Because I think
beginning.
if you had a vote tomorrow and had the townspeople come up, they'd still vote yes.
Are you guys, is that all you'd like to say? Because we do have someone. Mike,
That's all I'd like to say, thank you for listening.
Okay.
Thank you.
Russ, did you want to say something? You would just come forward and just give us your name, please.
My name is Russ Montman. I live at 20 Coin Street. There's only one question I'd like to ask. If it's a state law, do you have to have 6.5 acres of land to have for a playground? That's what I read in the paper, that's what you're supposed to have. It says 6.5 acres of land down there.
I don't know,
The correction, that's, I think, a misprint in the paper. Basically, what we got grandfathered into was the school land that was...
I'm talking with the playgrounds. Is there 6.5 acres of land down there?
That's not a requirement for the acreage.
According to what the state law says it is.
Again, that's a misunderstanding. There's actually a requirement, it's 19 acres of land for a school on new fields, and what we have is a grandfather clause from the School Building Association to allow us to build on smaller than standard state field requirements today. So that's the change.
I don't know. I thought if the state says that you ain't got it down there, I don't know how you can do it. I mean,
because they're building on a former school site, so they get the
But
grandfather.
my recollection, that 6.5 acres was just the acreage that was there to begin with, and that's why they said.
With the building on it.
thank you.
You're welcome. Do you have any other questions? Any other comments from the board? The only comment that I would make is that, quite frankly, I'm not prepared to sign the letter prior to the Board of Selectmen, the school committee, and the Board of Selectmen sitting down and certainly expediting that as quickly as possible. But I'm going to be quite frank, I'm not prepared to sign a document until all of, and I don't even know if it can be reasonably worked out. I would hope so, but I still am I'm just giving you my position up front. Until something has been worked out collectively that everyone is comfortable with, I'm not going to sign a letter. And I hope that you understand where we're coming from, is that I still firmly believe in my mind that I asked the people in the town to relinquish Dame Field to replicate something at another part of town that happens to be behind a vacant high school building. And the equation has changed, and now there's another equation in here that is saying in order to get the new elementary school, you've got to give us use of the field. So what was said before, I think, I guess, is to quote Mike, you got to look to see if there is something that can be worked out. I don't know that it can or it can't, but I'm just saying I'm not going to sign a letter until the board sit down and
Mary Rose, would you mean school committee, selectmen, parks and recreation?
Correct.
Is that what you're looking at?
Correct.
Rules and regulations for how it's used and when and
well, I think you know where the consensus of the board is tonight. You people have your position, the school has their position.
Can I ask the school committee, and maybe we don't know the answer to this yet, but if there were a letter drafted to that effect that went to the school building assistants that said that the board has voted to approve the use of the land for the schools pending.
I think they're looking for more commitment than that. Kind of like saying, here's a dollar.
Well, I'm just trying, you know.
I think coming to a consensus is a good thing, taking the time.
I'm sorry, Mark.
I think what you're asking from Mary Rose is a smart thing to do. I think that to get the three boards together and spend some time hashing out what would make it comfortable for all of you from a safety standpoint, from a maintenance standpoint, for Parks and Rec, and then the simple requirements for the recess and phys ed, and getting a consensus of the boards. Again, I think it's a wise thing to do. That way no one's uncomfortable with moving forward, and everyone's comfortable with the safety issues regarding the children and the maintenance of the fields.
Well, again, Mark, you know, I think it gets to the point that, you know, you're saying that, and I disagree with you a little bit in being that no matter how the Board of Selectmen ultimately voted on the issue of the new elementary school, we did give you and afford you that opportunity to have that meeting. Okay?
Sure.
We gave you that opportunity. And yes, it went through town meeting. Yes, the debt exclusion passed. And yes, you very much want to see a new elementary school. Okay?
The town.
The town. Okay. But you have to understand, you're speaking as a representative who has been closely associated with your issue of the school. We deal with all the issues that come forward from the school, one of those issues being the Dame Field, okay? When we dealt with that issue, we dealt with Parks and Rec at that particular time. We dealt with taxpayers in this town saying, you know, you're taking away something from us, and we assure them we're going to give you something back, okay? So the issue is just, your issue is looking at one piece of the puzzle. We're looking at all of it.
Right,
I don't want you to think we're anti-school. I don't want you to think we're anti-children. We're looking at the whole scope of it. You're answering to the people that are supportive of a new elementary school. We have to answer to every single person in this town, whether it be, I want my tanks up on Mulberry Drive fixed, or when I turn on my faucet over on Flag Street, I'm only getting rust out of them. There's bumps all over the road, you know, I mean, there's potholes, there's this, there's that. We look at it from everything, Mark. I don't want you to think that we're anti-schools, because we're not.
I understand that.
So this is, from my perspective, and I'm being honest and open about this, it's not an easy issue for me, because I feel I made a commitment to the people about Dame Field. Now this issue of your being able to get this funding only if you have this letter from the Board of Selectmen. This isn't that, you know, we're trying to, you know, finagle something because we don't want a new elementary school. That's not where I'm coming from. And I don't think any of the other board members are coming from there. We're looking at it from, at least I am, from the perspective that I know in 1998, what I asked the people to do at that town meeting and what we committed to the people would ultimately happen. That's changed.
Well, what it would be, though, is very similar to all of the bordering towns of Clinton, whether it be Bolton or Sterling or Lancaster. They all have very similar layouts and usages of their land near their schools. So again, I get back to working amongst the three boards and having you folks all come to a consensus and an agreement. I don't think the letter is too much to ask. It is not an acquisition back of the land. It's purely a usage, and I think it's better defining that usage so that everyone's comfortable and defining the maintenance of it. That way you don't feel that you've gypped those that want the past Dame Field and they're not getting an equivalent. And I think that consensus can be had, and I think just it will take time between the three boards to come up with that. So.
Madam Chair, I move that the board instruct the administrator to expeditiously arrange a meeting between the school committee, Parks Department, and the Board of Selectmen to discuss possible resolution to the use of the new Dame Field, if that's what we're even going to call it.
Second motion.
Any discussion?
Madam Chair, actually, before you vote on that, I would also ask that you authorize my office to go ahead and prepare a document that could achieve the goal of both the board, the Parks and Rec, and the school board, and would meet the school building assistance program needs, so that we can all try and make this a win-win situation for everyone.
Great.
It's pretty clear that there's only two choices here. If we work something out, the town benefits, and everything goes forward as approved by town meeting and by town election. If we don't work something out, and the access to that field is denied, the use of that field is denied to the school department and to the children in the school department, and it's very clear that a new elementary school would not be built, which would be in defiance of what the townspeople had spoken. 2/3 vote at town meeting and 56% of the townspeople at town election. So I think that if we work together and prepare a document, I think we can achieve everybody's goals. There is a document that is known as a license to use that we could prepare and draft, that you could set the terms and conditions of that license to use. And if the terms and conditions of the license to use are violated, then you can revoke that license to use. So I think there are legal remedies that the board would have to be able to achieve the goals that the board has to maintain access to those fields by all the people of the towns. So I would ask that you allow me to do that in conjunction with the three boards.
I would just also like to add to that, Dennis, that we also have a 1998 town meeting vote that overwhelmingly put the jurisdiction of all of what was transpiring in those fields in the hands of the Board of Selectmen.
It is very clear that the Board of Selectmen has jurisdiction over that field. I agree with you 100%. But all I'm saying is that I think we can achieve everybody's role here. They are not asking for you to turn over jurisdiction of those fields to them. You will retain that. You will determine who will use it and how it will be used.
Yes, I know that.
And you can do that via a document.
Yes, I know
But the
that.
reality is
if we don't work something out, then the new elementary school will not be built. And I think that before anybody decides that issue, if that's going to be the resolution, then we should perhaps have that at a town meeting and let the people decide that issue.
Well, I'm just making exception to the fact, Dennis, that you keep relating to the fact that the town meeting approved it and the town vote approved